So, we've gotten 2 new past episodes of Your Turn to Die. One of them is Kurumada's, but it's pretty straightforward. The second one we got is far more interesting in its implications, and it's what I want to talk about today. I wasn't sure I was going to script a video on this after recording my playthrough, but after seeing the community response, I think it's warranted for me to offer my own input. I don't want to tread too far into material I plan on covering in my analysis series, and I don't want this particular video to be too long, so I'll get right to the point. Spoilers for the episode, by the way. Back out now and go read it if you don't want to be spoiled. This is not Joe Sara's shipping material. In fact, it's kind of a bait and switch that reaffirms their dynamic as we understand it. Once we begin to question and analyze this ending, I think you'll see why. But first, let's briefly define said dynamic. It's hard for a guy and a girl to say this kind of thing to each other, but I love you, Sara. You're my best friend. This line is very simple, but incredibly elegant at summarizing their relationship. It is one of friendship, and it's one that proves that platonic bonds are no less inherently powerful or emotionally intimate than romantic ones. It's one that defies the narrative that male and female pairs can't simply be friends, or that in order for the relationship to be truly meaningful, it has to conform to a social expectation. When Joe's AI unknowingly repeats this line to Sara, he does it with his full heart, without any pretext. He doesn't know what's going on. He just woke up and saw his best friend is down. This is not tragic because of some unrequited love or because they should have been dating. It's a moment of triumph and one that saves Sara from the brink. She returns the sentiment before he disappears and leaves her with a renewed courage. Not to get too personal, but their relationship really means a lot to me as an Arrow Ace person myself. Media always feels the need to push characters into a relationship as if it's the only way their bond can be understood to viewers, especially with characters of opposite genders. Heteronormativity might be the fancy word for it, but regardless, it leaves me and many others feeling completely alienated when it happens every single time. But the bond between Sara and Joe is so beautiful, specifically because it breaks from that. It defies you to say it's lesser because they aren't boyfriend and girlfriend. It's a platonic bond that rivals any romantic one in its emotional depth, meaning, and yes, love. And that brings us to this past episode. The framing device is that it's Sara remembering what happened just before the kidnapping and fantasizing on what could have gone differently. But as this hypothesis begins to play out, we already see the cracks. Firstly, why do you think the romantic options are in red? Secondly, this face she suddenly makes after hugging Joe is downright uncharacteristic and creepy. It isn't portrayed as cute or wholesome at all. And Joe tries to back off from her advances while she continues to come on to him. If anything, this begins to approach sexual harassment territory. It's clear from the get-go that this is presented as the wrong choice. But it gets deeper. When Sara thinks about how her horrible future could have been changed if she had suggested herself as his partner, she receives a vision of the future where they did get together. No, by extension, of one where she doesn't understand his feelings, and one where she prioritized saving him above all else. She manipulates everyone into voting for him as a sacrifice and gets everyone killed. She saved Joe just as she wanted, but is that really what Joe would have wanted? Would the guy who believed in everyone really be okay if they all perished for his sake? And Sara certainly isn't pleased with herself in this outcome, a world where everyone dies and it's her fault. This is an unapologetic bad end. This figment of Joe in Sara's mind notices her panicking and calms her down. She confides in him that she doesn't want to become too involved with people because she has an unexplainable feeling that she's dragging them into a world of pitch darkness. Joe mulls over this for a moment, and then readily tells her that he'll be with her. He wants to know about her, and for her to know about him. And in response, Sara tells him with a contented smile that he is her precious best friend. Having returned to her past and thought about it, having remembered what Joe was like, she realized that she made the correct choice, and Joe would have agreed. It would have been wrong to betray their real feelings for each other, the love they shared as best friends, to make it something it wasn't. When Joe said those words before his death, they were the truth. When Sara finally returned the sentiment, that was also the truth. And then, at the very end of her journey of reminiscence, she brings up Ryoko to Joe of her own accord. The episode ends on the note that when it came to setting these two up, if she had another chance, even knowing all that would happen, she'd do it again. That's the conclusion of Sara's episode. It isn't the story of Sara's unrequited love, it's the story of her finally coming to terms with all that had happened, and learning not to blame herself or anyone else, because they all acted honest to their hearts. It's a beautiful note to add to her character arc, and a resounding declaration that Sara and Joe are just that, precious best friends. This was a short one, but I had to get it all off my chest. I know some are really digging deep into this episode for lore hints and the like, but after sitting down and considering it, I just don't think that was the intention. You're free to disagree, but I think the core heart of this modest tale from Sara's mind is the same no matter what. Thanks for watching. I go by Tasty Nachos, and you go by